APA asks students to include a balance of citations in their writing, crediting authors by citing each source of information you use in your writing, avoiding both under-citation and over-citation. What this balanced citation can look like in practice can seem abstract at first, so we'll review examples of balanced citations, under-citation, and over-citation. First, let's take a quick look at this example of balanced citation. Here we can see that the writer is using information from two sources in the first two sentences, and then is including their own analysis in the last sentence. This is an appropriate level of citation because it is clear which information is from which source. So each source is properly given credit, while the writer's own analysis at the end of the paragraph is appropriately left without a citation. Now let's look at a sample paragraph of under-citation. Teachers use differentiated instruction to help students learn, allowing the teacher to cater lessons to the way each student learns and each student's skill. Differentiation in teaching helps students by allowing learning in different ways. However, differentiated instruction can be implemented in various ways, from administrative systemic changes to informal teacher adoption of the practice. How and at what levels differentiated instruction is implemented can have an impact on its effect for students. Bond et al., 2019, Thompson, 2009. As a reader, I have a few questions about where this information is coming from. Without enough citations, it's not clear if the author is stating his or her opinions, or if the author is using sources and not citing them. And if the author is using sources and not citing them, that's plagiarism. So because it isn't clear where the source information is coming from, this is an example of under-citation, which we want to avoid. Let's now look at an example of over-citation. Notice how we've taken the previous paragraph and added too many citations. Each sentence has a citation, and one sentence has two citations. It can be overwhelming and distracting to the reader to see so many citations in one paragraph. So APA wants us to also avoid this example of over-citation. Now let's return to our example of balanced citation. This paragraph clearly cites the information that was retrieved from the two sources, but it doesn't cite so much that the citations are repetitive or distracting. There's a balance in the citations. Additionally, because this last citation is the author's own analysis, it does not need a citation. This is the ideal balance that you will try to reach when citing in your own writing. The last example we have also demonstrates balanced citation, but in a specialized case, when the author is using information from the same source in multiple sentences, in this case, throughout the paragraph. This is an example of what APA calls a long paraphrase, or what we can refer to as a summary. In this case, the writer is referring to one source throughout the paragraph, summarizing this source's findings. When you are using information from the same source in multiple sentences, you'll still need to cite the source, particularly in the first sentence. But APA gives writers the freedom to use cues, through signal phrases, to indicate that the rest of the paragraph is continuing to discuss the same source that's cited in that first sentence. These signal phrases are important to ensure the reader understands that this information is still paraphrasing from the initial source cited. Without these signal phrases, the reader would be left unsure. By citing in this first sentence and then incorporating these signal phrases, the writer has achieved balanced citation, while still ensuring the reader knows where this information is coming from.